pleasant good evening to you and yours. Welcome to Crown Corner on this 6th day of July, 2022. Willie P, Jessica Charman here with you as we hope you enjoyed the weekend that was for Charlotte FC. A mixed week overall. They did lose to Austin at home, but they get, I think, one of their biggest victories of the year, their first road victory in MLS play over Houston Dynamo. And right now I feel like that's the kind of victory, not based on just on the way they played, Jess, but the way that I feel like the vibe is around the team, that they can have this thing start something very special for the Crown here after what we saw on Sunday night.
Definitely. I think it's really interesting. We mentioned on the broadcast, and a couple of people have quoted me since about the Anton Walk statement midweek before this match. And he talked about his experience at Atlanta United and how important it would be to find a run at some point in this season if we're really going to be in contention for playoff spots. That run had to start with an away win. It had to start with getting that monkey off of our backs, being able to kind of just see that we can win on the road, that we're not going to throw away points. And when I look back at the match, as much as it was frustrating to concede in the last 10 minutes, there was something very special about the fact that we clung on to that 2-1 lead because it was a nitty-gritty result. I think that we should have won comfortably. I think we were way better than Houston. We should have put the game to bed with chances. But when the game was at 2-1, it took some resilience to stay in that one. There were a couple of squeaky moments, I'm not going to lie. And there are a few moments where I was just thinking in my head, please don't let it happen again. And it didn't. For once, we were able to put the game to bed with our defensive play. I think we have to shout out Sergio Ruiz, Brandt Bronico, and the tactics of Lattanzio as well, as we mentioned in the game. That wasn't just a victory by the players that participated. That was a Christian Lattanzio victory who had probably been out-coached in the previous game against Austin. We were kind of critical of his reactive substitutions. Sure. He reassured us in the game on Saturday or Sunday rather, that he can make the right choices and that he's the right man to take the helm at the moment.
Yeah, those of you watching on YouTube saw the stat sheet: 14 shots for Charlotte FC against 10, and there could have been even more just based on the way that they played that contest. Only 4 of those were on target, so Charlotte FC once again having the issue with getting shots on frame. But I also think too, Jess, you mentioned Sergio Ruiz. I don't know if he's got enough praise outside of us for the way that he played in that contest. We saw a much different version of him on Sunday than I think we'd seen at any point. We're going to talk to him about that coming up later on Crown Corner. Charlotte FC's first ever signing will join us coming up later on in the program. He and Quinn McNeil played a kind of consistent midfield that I know we've seen moments and flashes from Bender and Ortiz and that partnership together and other individuals throughout the season. I feel like the best collective attacking midfield play we saw overall in this season was what we saw Sunday between Ruiz and the rookie McNeil, who played in his first MLS start on Sunday against Houston Dynamo.
I don't think it was just attacking. I think it was midfield as a whole. I thought the link-up play between the 3 of them, considering that they hadn't played together before, they look brilliant together. I was really impressed with McNeil's physicality. I think Ben Bender has done a very good job in moments, but his physicality has been an area that I've questioned in moments, just going down a little easy, not having that strength in the challenge. McNeil was a step ahead with that physicality. And what I've mentioned that I loved about Bender, loved about Bronico and Ruiz was the fact that they had almost a double pivot involved at times where one would go forward, one would sit back. They were very organized in allowing coverage. And a lot of people have mentioned that they've started to see Bronico going forward, particularly in this match. I think a lot of the fact that Bronico was able to get forward and enjoy himself pushing up the pitch was because he trusted who was behind him in Sergio Ruiz. So really impressed with the way that worked. The other reason I think Bronico could go forward was because our wingers offered a lot more defensively than maybe we've seen. Really impressed with Yordi Reyna, not just on the offensive end with his crosses, but also the work rate going back. And listen, I know that Jóźwiak can't score or hit a barn door at the moment, but we have to give him some praise for his work rate. He got back and defended a lot. He's starting to find some connections. And I really think that both him and Swiderski just need a goal to start believing in themselves. It just looks like their body language when they're going forward doesn't quite believe that they're going to score.
Yeah, I don't want to come like soft on these two guys, but I do feel like we owe our 2 Polish DPs a little bit of grace here with Swiderski and Jóźwiak, because I do feel like we did see a step forward in that contest against Houston. We saw more of the creation and the ideas. We saw a couple of times also, and I think Scott mentioned it too in our comments, Yordi Reyna, I think it was a big part of that, because I do feel like there have been times where on that off wing of Karol Swiderski, we haven't seen the good enough service. We actually saw great tandem service from both players. And you also, I feel like you need somebody on that wing who has the option to either beat somebody 1v1 or also duck a cross in for Swiderski. He had that one-headed attempt cross that went off the crossbar, or went up the right side of the post, I should say. That's something and a chance for Swiderski that we haven't seen come through in the last couple of weeks. Everything else we've seen from Karol has either been from the dead ball or created himself by a 1v1. So I do feel like it's a thing of getting him more opportunities and getting him more chances going forward. But I do feel like you said earlier, I understand that there are folks who are frustrated with both of them playing, and it doesn't get lost on me that after Karol gets subbed out, we get that second goal from Andre. But I do feel like I said earlier, those guys do need a little bit of grace, because we've seen Swiderski have great moments earlier on in this season. And we know that Józsefik is capable of much more, and he showed as much, at least in the lead up to the final product on Sunday against Houston.
Listen, I think some of the misses were unforgivable. It's as simple as that. That's something we have to work on. I think for Józsefik, it's been on multiple occasions now where he's missed results and that they could have been very punished by the opposition. And against a stronger side, I think we would have been punished for those misses. However, like you say, Will, he contributes in other ways on other ends of the ball. The work rate is there, which is what you really want from your players. In terms of Reyna, he offered a variety of service. And I think that's what really stood out for me in terms of the balls into the box. We've seen a lot of driven balls. We've seen a lot of cutbacks. We've seen a lot of balls that went into the 6-yard box. Reyna offered a diverse style of crossing. He was floating the ball in. He was making it easier for the control. When I look back to the goal we scored, the first goal, it's a floated ball in. And because he floats it, it gets to Józsefik on the back post. It's easier to control because it's not driven at him with pace. He cushions it. He was selfless. He looks up. And because of the positioning of both Józsefik and Karol Swiderski, an own goal is scored. But as far as I'm concerned, yes, it was an own goal. And, there'll be no credit for Karol Swiderski. But if he hadn't been in that aggressive position in the box, he doesn't get it. And then for Shinyashiki, look, a lot of people will question why he's dropped. Well, let's be honest. It worked. He was motivated. He came on trying to prove a point. He had a horrific miss as well. But we forgive him because he finds the back of the net. No one is focusing on the Shinyashiki miss because he scored. And that's the nature of soccer, unfortunately. We have short-term memories, and it just doesn't sit right with me that we can criticize one player's misses, but not another. I think as a whole, our forward line is getting into better areas. We look at that stat sheet. Yes, there's an issue. We're only hitting 4 out of 14 shots on target. That's not good enough. But at least now we're getting those 14 shots in a game.
And we'll get it to Andre and the Sweet 16 moment from him for the second goal of the match. But a lot of the focus in the outset of the contest was you and me, the look that we had when I believe I said on the radio it was like a hairy eyeball. It was very much raised when it came to the way that we looked at the lineup coming in. But Christian Lattanzio was validated, and he thought to say as much after the contest when speaking to reporters after the 2-1 win Sunday over the Dynamo.
I think I have the right until the end to judge and discuss with the staff, with the lineup that we think deserves, or that will give the best chance to our football club to win a game. And so, what I said, it was, I think he still stands because Andre came on and scored a goal. So he contributed a lot. Again, I want to mention not just the players that started, that did a great job, but also the one that comes on, that even if they come for a few minutes, they make an impact and a difference.
And I feel like that was the biggest difference in this match when it came to Lattanzio. He was far more proactive in the substitutions. We saw him make changes earlier than we're used to seeing. Yordi Reyna probably had 5 more minutes in his legs, but Lattanzio chooses to sub him out before it gets to the stage where fatigue has stepped in so much that he's no longer productive. And those are the kind of substitutions I want to see. I want to see substitutions before they're necessary, because it's the right thing to do. I also love the adjustment of going to a back five in terms of game management. And that's the flexibility that it allows when you have Fuchs, Walks, and Guzman Corujo on the pitch. You can bring on Joseph Mora and you can move to that back five. And I'm really enjoying the back four that we started with as well. I think keeping Walks in the lineup is a great decision because of the communication and that relationship that he's building with Guzman Corujo. But you obviously don't want to sit your captain. So I think it's win-win. It's tough luck for Joseph Mora, quite frankly, because I don't think he's dropped through any mistakes of his own. But you got to keep Fuchs in the lineup, and really liking how this unit's in building. And as I've said time and time again, you want to keep as consistent as a backline as possible. And that's what Lattanzio is now doing.
Anton Walkes is the most important player of the Lattanzio era, in my opinion, because he has not only forced a great relationship between Walkes and Corujo, but it's also put Christian Fuchs back in his more reliable position. And the other part of this too, Jess, and I don't think we've talked about this part of it enough, is that Walkes is comfortable joining the rush and moving forward, so that, you know, you're not having Christian Fuchs have to go up there on his own as a left back. You know, he's not having to cover as much service. So obviously you love to see Christian go forward and have his service and delivery, which we've praised ad nauseum throughout this season. But I do feel like there are times where they can keep Fuchs back. And, you know, we even saw the substitution that was made to go to a back five, which gave Charlotte FC and Fuchs a little bit of time to keep him at the back and not force him as much forward. So as a result, you're able to not be counting on Fuchs to play 90 minutes at left back at 36 years old. I know that I'm not trying to talk out his age, but it does give them the ability to conserve him a little bit more.
And Walkes is a leader. I think that's the biggest thing for me. The biggest component of his game is that he offers that composure, that leadership, that accountability that I think was perhaps missing at moments in this match. And I don't think it's any coincidence that we're seeing more cohesiveness between the goalkeeper and his back line. We're seeing more cohesiveness between the midfield and the defense when Anton Walkes is in the pitch. I think it's just the way that he steps up into that leadership position and he directs traffic from the centre-back role.
Andrei Shinyashiki spoke today to the media, and I asked him something very pointed about the fact that he was able to get that goal coming in. We mentioned, Jess had said that, you know, it was a hard drop for him coming out of the lineup on Sunday after starting on Thursday and being somebody who we had labeled as a first choice forward. But he came in, contributed, and he talked about how not only motivated he was to come in off the bench and score, but the kind of trust he had in Christian Lattanzio to make that tactical decision for the betterment of the club.
Great coach, and I think what he does well is he puts a lot of players in positions to succeed. And I think that, you know, to me, for example, I didn't start the game against Houston, but I came in and I had like 2 chances to score. And I feel like that's a credit to what, you know, how he does and how he sets players up to succeed. And I think that, you know, he's a very stand-up guy. He will say things to your face and just, you know, get on with it. Is like, I like that. Like we need that, you know, honesty between the coach and the players. And I feel like maybe tactically the biggest difference I've seen is, you know, we get numbers in the box and we get players in the box, and we know when we have to go direct, we go direct. And I feel like that's been working for us.
And I think it's very telling, Will, that he alludes to the fact that Lattanzio is a very honest man. And I called it against the Austin game that it was one of Shinyashiki's least impactful games. And I'm pretty sure Lattanzio might have told him after that game, I wasn't too happy with the way that you played. He makes that substitution in terms of dropping him out of the starting lineup. And now you have a very motivated player who appreciates your honesty, appreciates the fact that you're being real with him, tell him what you want to do, comes off of that bench into the forward role, which we know he's spoken about wanting to find himself in at times, and gets 2 great opportunities and finds the ball in the back of the net. What I loved was the fact that when he started going on that run, there was no doubt revenge was on his mind. I remember making a comment very clearly about his reaction after the miss. He had no idea how he had missed it. And as soon as he got the ball at his feet, he wanted to make up for that. And you want players that have that attitude, that feel bad when they let the team down, feel bad that they haven't given it enough for the fans. And what do? They make up for it. These are the players that just get fans, you know, to love them even more. And I think that's why he's becoming such a crowd favorite so quickly into his Charlotte FC tenure.
It's definitely a favorite of ours, and somebody who was a favorite of a lot of people's for Charlotte FC when he signed on for the first time as the first player is Sergio Ruiz. We're going to talk plenty, by the way, on the Nashville contest. Tony Husband's going to join us later from the Nashville television crew. We're also going to talk to a member of Charlotte FC's unified team that made their debut at Bank of America Stadium late last week and got a victory over Atlanta United, which we're very happy about. But a chance to talk with Sergio Ruiz, Charlotte FC's first ever signing. He started on Sunday. I thought he was the man of the match, and here's how he saw things on the pitch when he joins us here on Crown Corner. It is time on Crown Corner to go inside the training ground, and we go inside the training ground with one of the first players, in fact, the first player to sign with Charlotte FC. It's Sergio Ruiz. He had a big role in Sunday's victory over the Houston Dynamo. He joined us here on Crown Corner. Sergio, welcome in. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much. Happy to be here with you.
So you guys got the big victory on Sunday against Houston. What do you think was the biggest key for the way you guys looked in that match against the Dynamo 2 days ago?
Maybe we play like a block, like a great team when we were attacking and defending together. We take advantage of our chances, and we have to be able to score goal. Just defend, and for us, this is the way we want, and finally we achieve our first win away.
I think one thing we noticed on the broadcast and a lot of the fans have mentioned is that relationship in the match between you and Brandt Bronico. How important do you think it is that you two had that understanding of each other when one goes forward, one sits? Is that a really important partnership for you, Sergio?
Yeah, for sure. We have to know between us, just to know how he plays, how he moves. So yeah, it's important. Brandt is a great player, and he understands very good the soccer. So yeah, it's good.
I know that Christian Latanzio has mentioned this. He's wanted more tandem defending, or you guys defending together. How hard is it to maintain wanting to defend, but also wanting to have a presence to go forward and showcase your offensive prowess?
Yeah. I mean, in the beginning of the game, we pressed very good and we create some chances. We scored the goal, and then it's normal to the other team who press us, who try to score to tie the game. We defend very good. We defend together. It's hard because we don't have the ball, and you have to be concentrated about just defend. But in that moment, we have to do that, and that was good.
One thing we've noticed under Latanzio is an increased press when you don't have the ball, that urgency to get someone stepping to the ball. How much of a role do you think that has had in your success against recent opponents?
Yeah, we try to play as high as possible, try to be close over against goal, try to recover the ball and attack forward. I think we worked great last game. We got a good performance. That's it. Try to be together to recover the ball. Try to find the attacking people. Great chances.
Sergio Ruiz joining us here, Charlotte FC's first ever signing, and as somebody who was the first man to sign up with this club, it's been a ride over the course of your time associated with this club. What has it been like for you to go through all the ups and downs? Obviously, you had the coaching change earlier in the year, and obviously a lot of the stuff personally. But what has this all kind of been like for you since you joined the club and now all the way through your first professional season with Charlotte FC and MLS?
Yeah, it's a long time before I signed my contract here. I don't know, 1.5 years. So yeah, I try to follow all the new news about Charlotte this 1.5 year. It was great. People who is coming here, all the club, all the staff, the fans. I know we are I don't know, 30,000 people each game at home is incredible for our first season. Yeah, we have all the support from the people. We are working in the same way. I think this is the key to success, to keep growing during the season.
You obviously came up through the ranks in the Spanish leagues. What do you think some of the biggest differences between how you played back home in Spain versus moving to MLS and the American game has been?
Yeah, maybe here the league is more physical, I think. All the teams are strong, have good players, and the rhythm of the game is high. So you have to run a lot. Maybe in Spain it's like a more possession game where people try to combine and to keep the ball more time than here, because here is all the time running, go on back, and it's really hard if you are not prepared physically. It's hard. Yeah, I am adapting to this league. I think that for my characteristics will be a good league for me, but yeah, it's hard to adapt.
And also how difficult, just because of the fact that the one thing I think we hear from a lot of first-year MLS players is you don't have a lot of time to react, especially when you're on the ball. It seems like there's always a defender that presses right up against you, when a lot of times in either Europe or South America, you'll have more time to react. How difficult was that adjustment point?
Yeah, for sure. Here you don't have time to think. You have to react quickly and try to play as fast as you can. Yeah, you have to adapt this rhythm. You have to adapt to the league. If you want to have success and win games, you have to do this.
I think you alluded to the fact that your skill set is effective and compatible with MLS. What do you think some of the strengths of your style as a soccer player are, Sergio?
I like to keep the ball, to have the possession of the ball, and try to combine with my teammates. I think that in this league, we are trying to play better, trying to combine. For me, for my characteristics, it's good. Yeah, I have to improve other parts of other skills of mine, but I'm really happy in this league, and yeah.
I want to go back to a couple of games ago at home. You helped set up the first MLS goal for Derek Jones. Some great work that was done by Daniel Rios in the corner. What was so special about that moment? Because I feel like we saw the entire team come over to DJ and have that celebration, and you were a big part of that as well. That almost seemed like one of the first real, like, huge team celebrations with all you guys there celebrating that goal for DJ.
Yeah, it was so important for us this game, because it was the Christian Latansofer games, and we have changed our coach. So always is difficult and hard to start with a new coach. Yeah, it was the last minutes, and we are just winning 1-0. So it's the goal to finish the game, to be together, to achieve a win. All the fans were so excited, and all the team. Yeah, it was incredible.
We're back at home this weekend, obviously. How incredible is this fan base at Bank of America Stadium? Have you ever experienced anything, obviously, like the first match that was a complete sellout, a record-breaking audience, but also the consistency of the 30,000 plus fans that come to every home game?
Yeah, it's amazing, because we are a new club, and yeah, we have a lot of new fans that are supporting us each single game. The results are here, and you can see that at home we are strong, we are improving. They help us a lot. Yeah, after the last win, we want to win again, and to achieve 2 wins in a row finally, and this is the way we want.
In terms of the way that you've kind of gone through this season, you mentioned the coaching change with Christian Lattanzio coming in. One of the things that he mentioned was the special relationship that he has taken on with certain players, not just with video, but also with extra work on the pitch. What has been your relationship with Christian Lattanzio, both during training, outside of training? What has he done to try and help form your game into what you want it to be?
Yeah, Christian is a close person. He's all the time trying to improve each player. He's all the time talking with us about our strengths or where we have to improve this part of the game, and try to do the best of each player. Then he's a funny guy, and and yeah, we try to meet inside the pitch and outside the pitch. This relationship is very good. I think he's working very hard. All the staff is working very hard to help us to achieve victories. For me, it's the key. Try to speak with the players, try to help them to improve, because we have to improve individually for them be a better team. It's Christian in this part is very intelligent coach and try to do the best for us.
We like to talk a lot of soccer on Crown Corner, but we also like to have a little bit of fun. We noticed in the background behind you in the Players' Lounge that Anton Walkes was having a bit of a game of FIFA. He, on this show, claimed that he is the champion of FIFA. Have you had an opportunity to play him yet at that game?
No, I don't like really to play PlayStation, but here there are some good players. They are trying hard here in the PlayStation. It's funny moments here all together. It's our way to relationship between us after the training. The environment here is so healthy, and I think that is it's great for the team to be together inside the locker room.
We saw the moments after the Houston victory inside the locker room, all the pictures and all the guys together. I understand that you don't really like to talk about things like how much you hadn't, won a game on the road, but how important was that to get that, proverbial monkey off the back?
Yeah, for sure. It's amazing because all the staff, all the people who work with us were very happy with the victory, and it's part of the game. It's part of the victory. All the people who are working with us, physios, press, I don't know. It's part of the victory. I mean, we need all the people to be together, not just the players. I think all the club, Soran, Thomas, I don't know. Everyone was happy because it was a very difficult win. Our first win in the history, just 9 games. So it's really hard to achieve this, and it's so important for the club and for the confidence of the team.
In terms of not just you, but also just being a first-time father, what has that adjustment been like? I know we asked you about it before, but how not only is Lucas, but how are you adjusting to fatherhood?
At the same time, I'm happy and I'm so tired because it's hard. He has his 3 months. In the night he doesn't sleep anything. But he starts to smile, and he's like, sometimes I don't want you because you are killing me. But then he smiles and he's like, oh, I love you.
It gets easier, I promise. It gets easier.
Yeah. But it's an amazing experience. My family are really happy here. We are living a brutal experience, a great experience. I feel all the support from the club or some friends. It's easier to go ahead and to enjoy this moment.
Well, we certainly support you. We've been very happy to see the way you've played so far, and we will continue to support you throughout your Charlotte FC career and beyond. Thank you so much for the time, Sergio, and hope to see you on the pitch on Saturday and bring home 3 points against Nashville. That is Charlotte FC's Sergio Ruiz. Great stuff from him. Great to see that he's adjusting well to fatherhood. I'm holding it off. I promise. I'm holding it off.
Look, I just love his smile and his honesty. And those are the kind of things that you gravitate towards, honest players. And he was honest. It hasn't been an easy ride for him. There's been a bit of a roller coaster. But for the first time this weekend, I feel like we saw the consistent Sergio Ruiz, and we saw the true amount of talent that he can have, particularly if he gets regular minutes with a regular midfield.
Very much looked like himself, as you put it on the broadcast. We saw nasty Sergio, and we needed to see it against the very physical Houston Dynamo team. We'll need to see him again on Saturday as Nashville comes in as a pretty tough customer. We talked about needing the opportunity to have a run going forward. It will not be easy against Nashville SC this weekend. Tony Husband from their television team joins us to break them down, as that is our next opponent this weekend at Bank of America Stadium. Here on Crown Corner, we'll do a little opposition research, and we go into somebody who's got a very large background in the soccer world, not just here domestically, but across the pond as well. Tony Husband, who covers Nashville SC for their television side. He joins us here on Crown Corner. Tony, pleasure to have you make our acquaintance, and it's a pleasure to make yours as well.
It's great to be on with you both. Enjoy listening to the coverage. It's been really great to follow Charlotte's first year in MLS. It's been quite eventful, but a roller coaster ride that looks like it's on a pretty good upturn at the moment as well.
It's interesting for us because I think for a lot of our, at least season, we're still trying to get our feet wet with MLS, and obviously with everything going on. As a side that is, only a couple of years old, I know that it gets better, but what has it been like kind of watching this Nashville side through a lot of the different things they've had to go through, not just with the COVID year, but obviously the different and unique struggles of being an inaugural and in the first infancy years side?
Well, the challenges of being an expansion club in Major League Soccer. This is a tough way to enter the league, whatever the world circumstances might be. I mean, in Nashville's case, obviously, events outside of the soccer field really had a big impact on their debut year in Major League Soccer. Just a week or so after kickoff, a few days after kickoff, there was the dreadful tornado in the city. Then they played their second game in Portland against the backdrop of that. And then after that second match, the world was effectively shut down. The league shut down. They didn't play another match for 5 months due to the COVID pandemic. Obstacles were thrown in their way from outside in that first season. Of course, they didn't play in MLS's back, even though they went to Florida for the tournament. So they battled against extraordinary adversity, and adversity you just could not see coming. And yet they made it through to the semifinals of the playoffs in the Eastern Conference that year. And actually, we're hitting a really good spot. I don't think they were a million miles away from being very, very close to actually claiming it all in a most unpredictable year in 2020. The evolution continued in 2021, but I think the club's had a bit of a kind of relaunch in 2022. What with the new stadium opening at Geodis Park at the beginning of May, a fantastic home venue now. And you will know from Charlotte's home base there, which although shared with football is very much the home stadium, and you see it as a home stadium for Charlotte FC, that once you have your own base, it's a great launch pad for any club.
So Charlotte FC fans will obviously be wondering, what are the strengths of this Nashville side this season? Where do you think they can really hurt Charlotte FC if they come to play on Saturday?
Well, first off, Nashville have been very strong away. They played a lot of games away from home to start the season while they waited for Geodis Park to be completed. They've racked up 5 wins already on the road this season. I think they are, without a doubt, one of the best teams when they travel in MLS. They've got very used to doing it. They finished last season with a lot of road games as well. This team is well set up to soak up pressure and to hit teams on the counter, and they can be quite deadly at that. If you look at their last few away games, they're coming into this one having won in the US Open Cup in Louisville, having won in Colorado, having won in DC, where they scored 3 goals on each occasion. And they went out of the US Open Cup in Orlando, but actually played very well and were only beaten in a penalty shootout. So the obvious names are going to be the ones to look out for. Hani Mukhtar is an MVP candidate. I think if he continues like this, the guy who finished runner-up last year in that category, I think he's almost certainly going to claim the MVP the way things are going if he maintains this form. And his partnership with CJ Sapong is one to look out for as well. They really combine well up front. They're a lethal pair, and they're the ones that Charlotte are going to have to keep quiet.
You mentioned Mukhtar, and it's very easy to see just the technical aspects of his game. No 2 attacking players are equal. What makes Mukhtar so special and makes him so dangerous?
He's a class finisher. He's got star quality, and sometimes you know that when a player has star quality, it's difficult to pinpoint exactly why. But there's an aura and an air about Mukhtar when he has a taste of the game, and you can see it in him. You can just smell it in the air. He's performed outstandingly well for Nashville into this second season. He can produce and change a game. He can affect a game. And that's what you want from a player. He's not an out-and-out striker. He can drop deeper, and then he can make a difference and influence things from the middle of the field. You don't want him to be running at you. You want to look out for those step-overs and the drops of the shoulder. And he's a clinical finisher, whether it be from a dead ball situation or indeed just in the run of play. Indeed, we saw him score at the weekend, his 9th goal of the season in MLS. He has 3 in US Open Cup as well. He's a man in fine form, very settled, signed a long-term contract extension as well here in Nashville, enjoying his soccer, and certainly a player that the Charlotte fans, I'm sure, will enjoy watching, but in hope that he won't be too influential against you.
Now, Tony, I know you've mentioned to me that you've followed a little bit of Charlotte FC this season. From the outside in, what have you enjoyed about this side in their first season in MLS?
I like watching Charlotte play, I must say. I mean, I know that obviously it's been an eventful time. I think sometimes teams get tagged with a kind of pre-season narrative, and it can be difficult to shake that. And, we all know, Miguel Ángel Ramirez's comments, before the season and how far and wide they went about, just where Charlotte were. I remember Nashville played Charlotte in a preseason game as well, and I think the general feeling after that game was, that Charlotte had a lot of work to do to get ready for this season. At the stage that the 2 sides met in preseason, they seemed some way off, but they made up time and they made up ground. And the one thing I would say that's been similar with Nashville, because I wouldn't say there's been too much else similar in the way that these teams' expansion seasons went, is that you've been strong at home. You've got a very, very good foundation at home. I think it's 6 wins now at home. And if you can have a strong home record, then that can give you a chance to push for playoffs and things like that at the end of the season. I like watching the likes of Ben Bender. I think he was a good choice to bring in the club. I used to watch Christian Fuchs play a lot in the UK, so he brings experience. Anton Walks as well. I know has come into the side and sits in that central defensive position, got a lot of experience in MLS and, of course, playing over in England as well. And, Swiderski looks class, no doubt about it. This is a guy who scores goals at a very high level and can make a difference. And it's also, from a Nashville perspective, been nice to see Derek Jones get some game time, and Daniel Rios, who was a real favourite over here.
Obviously, from the standpoint of the World Soccer game, all eyes will be on the U.S. men's national team in England on Black Friday. I know that you guys will obviously also feel that way as well, but someone who'll probably feature in that game is Walker Zimmerman, who also is a part of the Nashville side. What can not just MLS fans alike, but also U.S. men's national team fans look at when they see the kind of form that Zimmerman's playing in right now for Nashville?
I think we've seen somebody who's really grown. I mean, he's an MLS veteran now, over 200 games in the league. But I think the Walker Zimmerman that has matured in Nashville is a different type of player to the player that arrived. He has grown immensely. He's an absolute leader. He's fantastic in the air. And he is a player that, Gary Smith has acknowledged, when he's not on the field for Nashville, they're not the same team. This is a guy who has come a long way as well on the national scene. He wasn't even selected in the original October camp by Greg Berhalter last year. Remember that. And yet then he actually got called up due to injuries. He's now looking like leadership and captain material for this team. at the World Cup, and everyone is talking about, well, who's going to play alongside Zimmerman? It's not a question of what the back pairing could be if he goes with a 4 at the back. It's who plays next to Zimmerman. Great player, very dangerous from set pieces. So look out for that this weekend. And just a superb team guy and somebody who has made Nashville a lot better.
Will alluded to the fact that you've called games in England at the highest level of the sport over there. What do you think makes MLS special compared to the other leagues that you've commentated on in the past?
Well, it's definitely different, isn't it, Jess? And, your perspective on this must be fascinating as well. I find it a wonderful league. And I love there are individual aspects to this league that really no other league is like. The way that rosters are put together, some of the rules when it comes to putting a team into this league, are incomparable with any other league in the world. And other aspects as well. I don't think until you've done it, you can really appreciate the size of this country, where the teams are, the traveling you have to do. That makes this league very different to anything else. I mean, we have seen Nashville play in the Western Conference this season. Some of the road trips we've gone on, huge, going thousands of miles to play regular season games. It's like if you're in Europe playing permanently in the Europa League or the Champions League every week. So that makes this league different. I also think, obviously, the season being played over a different period of the calendar year also is a factor. You get games played through the summer months. It's really hot here in Nashville right now, and I know it will be pretty hot in Charlotte as well. And you go further south down into Florida, where the humidity plays such a big part in the games that are played. It's very difficult to compare it with other leagues. But I think it turns out some wonderful moments. You get some great
Tony,
moments.
How do you think the respect has grown for MLS across the pond as well? Is the fan base in England growing? Are more people respecting the league in MLS than maybe 10 years ago when it was just tagged as that retirement league?
Yes, that's right. I think it is. I think it's definitely grown and matured. I think there are so many more eyeballs, not just from fans, but also from the professional side of the game over in Europe and in the UK that are on MLS now. I mean, we're seeing really a very well-connected pipeline from MLS with a lot of American players in particular, going across to the likes of Germany and moves into England as well this summer. And the respect is growing all the time for the league. It has a very, very big place, a growing place, I think now, in the football market. And I think the future looks very bright, doesn't it, for this league. It's a young league, though. That's the thing I would always caution, people. You can't run till you can walk. This is 27 years. A lot of these leagues over in Europe and the rest of the world have been going for over a century. MLS has got to continue to just working its way, into the football conversation. It's doing it very well, but still from a young age.
And even the Premier League had about like you said, 100-year head start, even though it still very much was in its infancy there in the 90s. But I did want to at least ask you one more on the game on Saturday. What's a barometer you're looking at that could swing the game either way, either Nashville's way or Charlotte's way, coming up on Saturday?
I'm going to be interested to see how Nashville respond against what was ultimately in the end a disappointing result for them against Portland at home. They were 2-0 up and cruising in that game. You can't legislate for the kind of mistake, unfortunately, that kind of let Portland back into the game, and they ended the match with momentum. Nashville are making up some of the points they're dropping at home right now by performing very well on the road. They have the mentality. As I mentioned earlier, at times they're well suited to playing on the road. So I think the first 10, 15 minutes will be very interesting. If Nashville start the way they did in Colorado and in DC, where they certainly in Colorado put the game to bed inside 20 minutes, and in DC they made such a good start, you already felt that they were looking good for 3 points. If they can start well against Charlotte, I'll be confident again that they can go on the road and get points, because this team is dangerous and they've got a player in Mukhtar who is in this absolute prime form right now. So hopefully it's going to be a really good game between both teams, and Nashville will go there confident.
Tony Husband from the Nashville television team, we appreciate the time. Good luck rest of the way down the stretch. Just obviously we'll have our luck reserved for ourselves on Saturday. Appreciate the time.
And the same applies to you too. Thanks for talking to us.
Always great to get Tony Husband's perspective on things, not just globally, but also with this contest this weekend, which there are still upper level tickets remaining for this contest. It is Americana night at Bank of America Stadium. You can get in for as little as $20 into the building on Saturday night. So we want to be able to pack the bank and get an opportunity to get one of the biggest crowds we've had here in Charlotte since the home opener, which had, as we know, more than 74,000. It's a game, Jess, that I feel like, Charlotte FC comes in with some pretty great defensive confidence after what they did to Driussi of Austin, what they did to Sebastian Ferreira of Houston. They held down two pretty strong Western Conference attacking players. They'll have their hands full with another one in Hani Mukhtar on Saturday night.
Yeah, definitely. But at the end of the day, I think that you just have to continue playing the way that you've been doing over these last two matches. You've been able to silence some very good forwards with your organization and your communication and your style of play. And I'm expecting to see that same press go in. Nashville's a side that likes to try and disrupt themselves. They want to try and stop you playing the way that you want to play. It's important that while we're at home at the Bank of America Stadium, we don't allow a team to walk into our stadium and do that to us.
And I also wonder, too, I don't want to say a loss helps you, but a lot of times I feel like when you suffer a loss at home, that gets your guard up a little bit more. And sometimes you might feel a little bit of complacency at home because of the way this team has had, at least in its home form. I think they will be more on their P's and Q's against Nashville after what happened last Thursday against Austin.
I think it's a motivating factor. You don't want to be embarrassed at home. It's very important in front of your crowd that you give them that win. You want to turn the Bank of America Stadium into a fortress, and that's what we're going to try and do. And like you mentioned, Will, with the extra seats open, that's going to be an even better environment on a Saturday night. So I think it's really important that we go out there and we're motivated. We don't get complacent, like you say, but I definitely don't think that's something that Atalanta is going to allow. And I'm expecting to see more of what we saw at Houston in terms of that proactiveness with changes as well.
Definitely looking forward to that post-match light show. Should be a lot of fun on the pitch on Saturday, and hopefully it's a victorious light show as well. After the game last Thursday, though, we had a chance to see something really special. Charlotte FC's unified team, players with and without intellectual disabilities, took the field for the first time as a unit and played in a contest against Atlanta United, got themselves a big victory. We talked with a member of Charlotte FC's unified team, Tim Gershio, next on Crown Corner. Well, the other night with Charlotte FC's last home game against Austin FC, we had an opportunity to see Charlotte FC's unified team on the pitch get a big victory over Atlanta United, and we thank those of you in the fan base who stayed after the Austin game and watched our boys prepare and girls as well. It was fantastic to see, and Tim Gershio plays on Charlotte FC's unified team that connects players not just of with and without intellectual disabilities. Fantastic stuff to see them on the pitch. And Tim joins us on Crown Corner. Tim, congratulations on the victory, and thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me. We had a great time and happy to represent Charlotte with the win.
What was it like to be there on the big pitch on Thursday night to see not just the fan base, but also to be out there on the Bank of America Stadium pitch in a game like that?
Yeah, it was really amazing for all of us, players, coaches, and the staff all together. We've been training since maybe middle of April, May, training once a week or so and getting everything together to finally play at the Bank of America Stadium and, do a good job. So.
Can you describe to us in a little bit more depth? I know Will touched on it, what the unified team is about, but from your understanding, what is this unified team for Charlotte FC all about encapsulating?
It's really just about the love of soccer and us all coming together around soccer and being a part of Charlotte FC. But more in depth, we have a mix of Special Olympians or people with disabilities and a mix of people that's just play soccer, whether on whatever level it may be. So we just come together and represent Charlotte FC, and we get to play other teams with unified teams as well. So it's been amazing.
What has been your involvement like when you first saw this idea brought forth, and what made you want to be a part of this team?
I think I saw it on Facebook somewhere, and I was like, well, this looks awesome. And I worked with Special Olympics kids before, so and I wanted to be a part of Charlotte, being that I love soccer and I'm in Charlotte and I have time. So I said this would be a fun little thing to do. And one thing led to another. We had tryouts and, all that stuff. So it was all really awesome leading up to the point, and it's been a journey.
Will spoke about how many fans stayed back. We were on the pitch watching from the sidelines, and I think it was amazing how many fans stayed back, were cheering. How much did that mean to you and the other players that so many people on a Thursday night spent their time staying, past bedtimes to support the team?
Yeah, it was amazing. We didn't know really what to expect. I had no expectations going into it. I was just excited to play soccer like I usually do, and kind of have this masterpiece as we've been trying to get everything together, and like a big grand play. And we were able to play, and the fans made it even better. And we didn't know who or how many were going to show up, but we were just ready to play and represent Charlotte and just have a great time around soccer.
The great thing that I always see whenever working with Special Olympics, and I know you said you had some of that in the past with your experience, as have I, and I always love seeing the purity of the game and just the great enthusiasm. How much and how gratifying is that to see when you see these athletes competing out there and doing so on the same playing field that our heroes on the first team do as well?
I'm used to organized soccer and playing at a high level. I played pro and for the Mongolian national team, so things were so just normal for me. But to some of these Olympians, some of them were texting us, "Hey, do we bring water bottles? Do we, what do we bring?" And it's like, no, I know you don't bring your own stuff, but they had no clue. And it's just been really awesome to be able to witness that with them and help them with even the littlest things.
Obviously, Tim, you talked about being a fan of Charlotte FC. The win came over Atlanta United, a 3-1, very convincing victory, I might add, for Charlotte FC. Do you think there was an added bit of pride for you and the fan base that win came over Atlanta United?
Oh yeah, we're me and some of my friends, or I guess we were all just discussing it before. It's like, hey, as a partner of these Special Olympians, our job is to help assist them in any way. So there might be, this is our inaugural game and we never had anything like this. So we didn't know what kind of energy and what kind of effort we need to bring. But we knew at the end of the day, hey, this is our first game. This is in Charlotte. We got to do what we can to, I guess, win. And I know that's not necessarily what unified team is about, winning, but we decided we're going to step it up if we need to.
It definitely is an added bonus. Who are some of your favorite teammates, Tim, among the Special Olympians or former Special Olympians and those who are on your team with you?
Yeah, me and Skylar, we are captains for the game, and we are invited to go to the MLS All-Star games in Minneapolis. So he's an amazing friend and a teammate. I actually invited him out to our semi-pro team practice and gave him a shirt and everything. And I know that may seem, inconspicuous to some, but it means a lot to him and his family. So, I mean, that's great in itself. But there's so many great players on the team, and it's just been a surprise. And I gotta shout out my best friend Jonathan. He's not a Special Olympian, but we've been playing soccer together in the Charlotte area for years now, and to get to play with him again, represent Charlotte, it's a dream come true.
So we saw on social media that you guys prepared for this match against the Charlotte FC staff team. A good friend of ours, Woody Wilder, was in that team, and there are a couple of glorious photos of him in action. How did the staff team fare against you guys? And did you go all out on the staff team, or were you a little gentle with them?
Yeah, we we huddled together before the game and we talked and said, hey, guys, this is probably going to be one of the better teams we'll ever face, we'll ever go up against. But let's just try to play like how we're going to play tomorrow. And people were a little antsy, and, you know, it's their first time doing a big real match, or I guess close to a real match. And we had to remind them, hey, guys, remember, just relax, play your game, look up and find the pass that you want to pass to, just like any other practice. And we were able to use what we learned from the staff game to our Charlotte FC game, which showed its class on the field.
Tim, I remember that first training session and first announcement, seeing all the members of the first team that were there to see you guys. What did it mean to you to have so much of a representation of the first team out there to support you guys in your first training session on the Bank of America Stadium pitch way back before their season started?
Yeah, again, for us, it's our first year, and for me, it's a first year, first experience, and we didn't know what to expect. So when we had our signing day and had our practice at Bank of America Stadium, it was far exceeded probably any of our expectations. And I thank Charlotte FC for that. It was just amazing and couldn't ask for anything more. And I hope more people get to experience it and have more awareness of what's going on.
And lastly, Tim, where can folks go to learn not only more about you, but when we can see you again on the pitch?
In terms of me, I'm Tim Gershio, so just you can look that up. And then in terms of our practice, there isn't much, or I guess in terms of the unified team, there isn't too much on that other than the Charlotte FC website, and occasionally I'll post things on there. We do like vlogs every week, so that's fun, and just try to make the best of it, not only for us, but make a great experience for the Olympians as well.
Well, it's been a lot of fun watching this develop. It was great to see it all kind of come together the other night. Congratulations on the victory, continued great success, and keep smiling, man. We love seeing you guys out there on the pitch.
Yeah, it's been awesome. For the crowd.
That's Tim Gershio from the Charlotte FC Unified team. Hope we get to see those guys on the pitch again here after a Charlotte FC contest. And I have to say, that was so much fun watching them. I know that the loss against Austin stung, but it put a smile on my face to see those guys get the victory against Atlanta on Thursday.
Definitely. And I think one of the biggest things as well was, even though that the first team had lost, it was amazing how many people stood around, and it showed what it meant to them. And seeing guys and girls out there battling and having an amazing competition against Atlanta United. And like Tim said, it's not all about winning, but when you win against Atlanta United, and it was pretty obvious they were trying to compete out there. It wasn't just for fun.
Definitely not. Charlotte FC on Saturday hosting Nashville SC. Should be an interesting contest, Jess. I know we talked about it earlier, but we keep on talking about how important that run is, and it's needed for Charlotte FC. This is a very pivotal point in that, because I do feel like with, the matchup against Miami upcoming, Toronto upcoming, there are some winnable contests in this stretch, but I think it all has to start here with this one coming up on Saturday.
Yeah, every game is important. At the end of the day, you can't get ahead of yourself looking too far down the schedule at what's winnable and what's not. Every time you play at home, you have to believe that the match is winnable, particularly when you have the amazing fan base that we do. You're coming off your first away win in club history. That should be a big motivating factor. And there's a lot of players that performed out of their skin last week who'll be looking to try and prove themselves even more that they belong in this team.
I'm wondering, too, how Lattanzio handles things, whether he goes with the same starting 11. He's done that on occasion, and it hasn't worked out. I'm wondering if he does shake things up a bit based on fitness, based on the training this week. I know he talks about wanting to create competition. I'm wondering how that looks on the pitch with the starting 11 against Nashville.
And at this point, I have no idea. I wasn't expecting to see the lineup we saw in Houston, and Lattanzio made some good changes, some good decisions. So we'll see when that lineup's released. But I think what the biggest thing is that we know that we have squad depth, we have ability in multiple positions, and we do starting to have that competition. So I'll trust whoever he puts out there, and I'm hoping that we see good substitutions as well.
Yeah, it's going to be very, very interesting to see how this weaves into the rest of the MLS schedule. Don't forget, Charlotte FC's got a couple of big dates upcoming, not just Saturday with Americana Night, but also 2 weeks from tonight. I'm still getting excited for this one. Chelsea FC going to be at Bank of America Stadium 2 weeks from tonight. It's still hard to believe that the former European champions, Jess, are going to be here at Bank of America Stadium and see our boys on the same pitch. It's I know a lot of teams get these types of opportunities where they get the friendlies with, the European teams against the European teams, but to get this kind of opportunity is a very, very special one here coming up in 2 weeks.
Yeah, it should be a lot of fun. I'm sure the bank will be rocking, and we're delighted that we get the opportunity to call it as well.
It'll be very, very great to hear you guys out there on the pitch on July the 20th. Hope we also are there on the 9th as well. We'll be on the air on WFNZ and the Charlotte FC Radio Network at 6:30 for a 7 p.m. first kick. Don't forget, post-match light show. Tickets at $20 to get into the upper bowl at Bank of America Stadium. For Matt Hogan and for Jess Charman, I'm Will Pelagic saying thank you so much for listening and watching to Crown Corner. We'll talk to you on Saturday from the bank.